Posted by you/bruised eyed main 1234. I, 20F, have been dating my boyfriend, 20M, since September 2017, but we have been seeing each other since June 2016. We are long distance, about 6 hours apart by car, and see each other about once a month if we're lucky. We have had a lot of ups and downs, but ultimately, we care about each other and just want each other to be our happiest and healthiest. I posted earlier this week about an incident that happened this past weekend where an old friend of mine tried to kiss me. He was drunk and initially tried to kiss me on the mouth. I pulled away, and he then tried to kiss my neck, leaving a bruise. I bruise incredibly easily as I have very fair skin and poor circulation. The entire incident lasted no more than a few seconds. I did not expect or want this to happen, and I thought the friend in question knew I had a boyfriend. I actually thought he also had a girlfriend until he kissed me, so it definitely caught me off guard. Once I firmly expressed to him that I wasn't interested and had a boyfriend, he backed off, and the rest of the night went normally. I don't have any plans to hang out with this friend again. The next day, my boyfriend was already at work when I woke up, where he has limited access to his phone. I planned to FaceTime him and tell him what happened when he got off work, but he noticed the bruise on my neck in a Snapchat before I could tell him myself. I hadn't even noticed it was there because, as I said, the incident lasted no more than a few seconds and it didn't occur to me that there could even be a bruise from such a short time. He called me when he finished work, and I explained what had happened, but by that point, he had been stewing over it for more than 5 hours and was furious with me. I understand that I shouldn't have put myself in a position where someone thought I would be receptive to a kiss, but I also can't control other people's actions over the past, and I have been trying to earn his trust back since. However, he remains absolutely livid. Now, the reason why I'm posting: for the past few years, my Snapchat account has been constantly signing me out on my phone, forcing me to log back in sometimes as frequently as multiple times a day. I submitted several maintenance requests to the app, and on Monday, they notified me that they had sent a customer service email to my spam email account, which I seldom use and hadn't checked in years. When I signed into the account to view the email, I noticed several other emails from the app over the past year. Most notably, there was a series of emails from August 3 to 6, 2017, informing me that someone had connected to my account on those specific dates from a location in a neighboring country. My boyfriend and a few of our mutual friends happened to be on vacation in that exact place on those exact dates. We were not dating at that time. I have confirmed the dates of that trip with someone else who was there. Nobody else on that trip goes to college with my boyfriend or within 75 miles of there. Getting fearful, I went on the Snapchat website and downloaded my data, which basically gives you all the data the company has stored about your account over a certain period. This data included the location history of where my account had been accessed for the last 2 months, with each data point consisting of a date, time, latitude, and longitude of where the account was used. It revealed that dozens of times over the last 2 months, sometimes as often as multiple times in the same day, my account was accessed from where my boyfriend lives. These data points are very specific, to 3 decimal points, and correspond directly to his house, various buildings on his campus, and other places in his college town that he frequents. All of these occurred on dates when I was definitively in my own college town, 400 miles away. You can actually see me and whoever it is fighting for control of the account, with me signing in 1 hour, then it signing in from his town the next hour, and us going back and forth for a while. The data only goes back 2 months, but the emails and the pattern of Snapchat logging me out, which is their attempt at security, when you log into an account on one device, it force logs it out on all others, indicate that this has been happening with this level of regularity for over a year. I confronted my boyfriend about this as soon as I found out. He was initially indignant, then horrified once I presented him with all the evidence. He emphatically maintains that it isn't him doing it. He can't provide any other explanations, and his best guess is that he is being framed, although he has no idea by whom. He has said a few times that if I need to find an explanation, he'll let his reputation take the hit because he loves me that much and hates to see how this is hurting me. He has now also shifted the conversation back to the incident from this weekend, saying that if he were guilty, what point would he have in lying, since he already thinks I slept with someone else anyway, which he hadn't told me before he brought it up. This is an especially sensitive subject for me because, 2 years ago, I was most likely raped by a very close friend, but I have only been able to piece together what happened after the fact based on other information. Not having a clear answer or knowing for sure about what happened then absolutely tore me apart and still affects me immensely. My boyfriend knows all of this and helped me through the fallout. I don't want to believe he would lie to me after seeing how much not knowing what happened before destroyed me. Snapchat is my main method of communication with many of my friends, and I save all my direct messages on the app so I can reference them later. For over a year, someone has been going through my photos, my messages, seeing who I talk to, and watching me without my knowledge, and I can't find any other explanations for all this information besides it being my boyfriend. Not knowing what happened here will absolutely destroy me, and he knows this. I so desperately want to believe it's something else, and I want to trust him, just like I want him to trust that I didn't sleep with my friend, but I just can't find any answers. My question is Does anyone have any other possible explanations for what could have happened besides the obvious? What should I do now? And how can I convince my boyfriend I didn't sleep with my friend without compromising my feelings in this situation? Update 4 days later. I posted a few days ago about finding an overwhelming amount of evidence that my boyfriend of 1 year had been signing into my Snapchat account from his phone for over a year. Yet, when I confronted him about it, he claimed he was being framed. He also accused me of sleeping with a friend who made a move on me that past weekend. I asked here for any other possible explanations for what might have happened besides the obvious, and for advice on how to prove to him that I didn't have sex with that guy. Everyone here told me I was out of my mind to think it was anything else, and that it didn't matter what he thought of me, that he was violating my privacy, and that there were no other possibilities. I realized y'all were right, and I came up with a plan. I met my boyfriend in a diner, got there early, and told the waitress what was about to go down. I then set up my laptop with all the evidence I had gathered and waited for him to show up. When he arrived, he was combative and initially tried to accuse me of sleeping with that guy again, but I quickly took control of the conversation and began my speech. I walked him through every piece of incriminating evidence, of which there was a lot, and asked if he still thought he was being framed. He denied it a few more times. At that point, I told him that in our state, what was happening constituted 4th-degree felony stalking. There was too much evidence for it to be a series of technical glitches, so either he was stalking me, or someone else was stalking both of us. I told him this was his last chance to come clean to me, or, if he still said it wasn't him, we were going to get in my car, drive to the police station, and turn the case over to a detective, at which point it would be investigated, and whoever did it would be charged. I explained that once I turned it over to the police, it would be out of my hands, and there would be consequences for whoever was responsible. He said he wasn't going to the police station and insisted again that he didn't do it. So, I stood up, put on my coat, and said we were going to see a detective and file a report because those were his only remaining options. He pulled me back down to the table and finally confessed. It was him. It started 2 years ago, 7 months before we even began dating. We were casually involved at that point, and friends, but not dating or exclusive. He said it started because he wanted to know whether I liked him, and both it and I became an obsession for him. He has checked it multiple times a day, every day, throughout our entire relationship, even when I was with him. He read all my messages, which I saved through the app, as I use it as my main form of communication with many friends, went through my photos, and kept tabs on who I was talking to. The conversation was terrifying. It felt like I didn't know him. He was cold, cruel, and didn't show even the smallest bit of remorse. He tried to blame me multiple times, then blamed his trust issues, and eventually blamed it on being screwed in the head. It was so unbelievably out of character that I would have thought it was his lousy audition tape for an episode of SVU and called it a bad performance if I hadn't lived it myself. He also tried to manipulate me into not going to the police or any of our mutual friends, claiming he had nothing in his life, except me, but I guess that didn't matter much. He said I could just move on from this, whereas he would have to live with it for the rest of his life, which should be punishment enough. He then tried to tell me that I owed him by not telling anyone else, because I ruined his life when I gave him an STD, which I got when I was SA'd by a former friend, was easily cured, and which we had discussed at length, where he reassured me that it wasn't my fault. Oh, and he knew I hadn't slept with that guy because he read my conversation with him, where the guy said, "Hey, I'm sorry about last night, I didn't know you had a boyfriend, and I never would have tried to make a move on you if I had known." He had only said that to try to make me defensive and so flustered about something else that I would drop my investigation into the Snapchat thing. He even quoted my own conversations back to me. I made him sign a paper where he wrote out what he did, just in case he tries to go back on his word later. Then, I left. So, it's over now. I've blocked him on everything. I actually cried when I blocked his number, as sad as that is. All that's left is to move on. I'm debating whether to tell our mutual friends or not, because honestly, I'm resentful that he tried to manipulate me into not doing so, and I don't feel like I owe him anything at this point. Anyway, thanks for all your help. Edit. Holy cow, this is a turnout. I went to bed last night and went to work today expecting to see a few responses. I mostly just updated because I hate when people don't update. Thank you so much to everyone for all the support. I've taken the advice of most people here and told a few trusted friends. Their response has been kind of disappointing, with a boys will be boys mentality of well, now you know you're better apart than together, just give it time. I'm hoping they'll come around. I understand that it's really hard to reconcile such a psycho thing with someone you care about, and like I said, this was so out of character for my ex. For now, I'm not going to go to the police because I don't think I could handle that right now. I go to school 400 miles away from my hometown, so I wouldn't be able to come back and forth often to deal with an investigation, and I just don't think I could deal with the emotional strain of having aggressive strangers tear my life the rest of the way apart. But I have changed all my passwords, done a forced logout where applicable, and saved all the evidence against my ex in a few different locations. My ex got my password because he saw me sign into something once when we were hanging out and remembered the password I used. Once he had it, He had it forever. To all the people who called me out or had questions about the STD, shout out to the guy who said I belonged in prison. I'll tell the story. Mods, sorry if this violates the rules. Over 2 years ago, I had only been with my ex. He's actually the only person I've ever been with. We weren't dating at the time, just casually hooking up. One night, over a break home from school, I went to my former best friend's house to catch up. I had 2 drinks and passed out, which I had thought was because I was tired, but now I suspect the drinks were tampered with. I slept on his couch that night, just the 2 of us. I woke up the next morning feeling kinda sore but didn't really think anything of it, went home, and didn't dwell on it. 2 months later, another friend came to me and told me that she had fallen asleep at that same friend's house just days before I did, that he had spiked her drink, and she had woken up in the middle of the night to him graping her. She froze, left when he went back to sleep, went to the hospital, got a kit done, and tried to move on with her life. She never went to the police because this friend's family is very involved with the police in our area, and police response to SA is a joke anyway. She told me because I was going to visit him and she wanted me to be safe. I tried to support her as best I could and cut that friend off, but it didn't occur to me that anything could have happened to me. Months later, I tested positive for chlamydia during a routine STD check by Myogene. That's when I put all the facts together and realized what had happened, although I never got closure or a sure answer. I always used protection with my ex, but that doesn't guarantee anything. I didn't knowingly give him an STD or even know that I had it. Chlamydia is curable with a single antibiotic, and there were no lasting physical effects on either of our lives. Anyway, thanks so much to everyone who expressed support. This has been an overwhelming and difficult time, and the reassurance from folks here has really made a difference in how I've been able to wrap my head around this.